Hey everyone, welcome to your daily update for SOL and BTC. This is my second time trying to record this. It's crashed on me once and we are running out of time to get this update out, so we shall make this as fast as possible. Okay, so we had a bit of a move. We went into that 228 rejection area, had a bit of a dump, but we didn't really go down to what the target should be. So on the 1 day, both BTC and SOL are looking like they could still take a little bit more liquidity to the downside, but they are looking really strong going to close. So I am sort of wondering whether or not it's a wee bit of a trappy situation, or whether we are going to just moon from here. It's definitely some FOMO coming in, but as it currently stands, looks like we're going to take that 1.5 area on BTC, which is good because that gets some of those targets out of the way. But we could easily drop down too, and the liquidity on BTC really is looking very much like a weekend or a public holiday type map. So that's interesting. For SOL, we should be going down to about 218, 219. But it may also be trying to push through to that 234 monthly break level, which is sort of due to be tested, and we have got all the liquidity sitting up around that 234 area starting to form. So if we look at the 7 day, there's a ton to take to the downside. So it's a little bit hard to trust this pump, just given that they are starting to leave a lot of that lower liquidity behind. But there will always be that time that does happen. Markets don't always take every single thing before they head off to the upside. But for BTC, this sort of shows that the 1.6s, the 1.16s, 1.17s to the upside, and sort of that 108 area again, 107 to the downside. For SOL, it's starting to show that we might go and hit those monthly break levels around the 234. But also it's showing that, hey, there's a ton of liquidity stacked all the way down to 200. So don't get too overly excited, and always make sure you got your stop losses in place. 30 day liquidity is the one that sort of is really out of balance on SOL. Too bullish. 189 would be a good healthy dip to take some of that bullishness away. It would probably have to coincide with BTC dropping to maybe 106, 107 area. But at the same time, it does show that we are building liquidity to the upside, and we just keep doing it and taking it. So 234 would sort of be my next area of interest across basically every time frame on SOL. And as far as BTC goes, we've pretty much got staggered hold levels every $1,000 all the way up to 120. So right, let's have a look at what they did over the weekend. Well, actually, we haven't had a weekend yet. What they did over the last couple of days. So there was our sweep. That was a beautiful new sweep. We went up, we hit that 228 area, and we just got that rapid wick all the way down. Now, the thing about this is it got bought up very quickly, which at first glance seems bullish, but it's also meaning that you can see we've got the density of liquidity started to come in around that 220 area, because people are sort of believing now that this is going to be a very solid, safe base. So sometimes they do this kind of thing and don't hit these targets so that they can go back up, sweep whoever has shorted it, and then come down to the actual target. So just I don't know whether it's really a safe place to be jumping into a long just as of yet, but it's certainly looking bullish. It's looks like it's going to take some more upside. BTC has hit that 15, that 115 area, so it's got all this 100x liquidity down here, sort of 114 downwards, and so yeah, we may get a bit of a push, but like I say, we have got these 116 targets up here, we've got 117 targets, and then sort of into the 119. So we might just get a pump. Right, let's have a look at these charts. Okay, so SOLBTC Strength, it's going to move the trend today. So we're going to shift from where we are to the top side. The wick's quite long on that, so Every time I see these kind of trend moves, we have to be aware that we can retest the backside of that trend, then reject down to a horizontal level. We are hard closing this 19524 level today, so the rejection may not be big. It could just be between that diagonal and that horizontal, but we are also, we've got a trend a lot further down, and if we look just at some of our bigger time frames, we're pushing through these weekly resistance levels and we're getting close to the end of the week, so it's realistic that it actually starts to pull back. And if we look at the monthly levels, we haven't quite hit that monthly rejection, but this is the key one, I think. We've really got to see what happens when we hit 0.002022. Say that 3 times fast. If we hit that level and we've got this range trend sitting down here in the 180 sort of area, and we've got this area down below that, the break level that we're up above, and that's in that 1.7s. If we're going to have any kind of significant pullback on SOL, it's going to be when these resistances come into play. And if it just blasts through them, that's really unhealthy. That's kind of blow off top material to come, but at the end of the day, all you can really do at that point is just start riding it and taking some TPs on the way out. So safety assets. Safety assets are in a very interesting spot as well. We're going to get a hold level forming here at 64.49%. We're going to be below the trend. So it's not a hard close trend. We've dived below it before, as you can see historically here, and then we shot up to do a retest. So we've still got these retests, at 65 that we need to do at some point. But building hold levels at 64.49 makes it hard. It makes it really hard to get back up there. So we are still inside the range. So pretty much anything can happen with this. We can hit the bottom of the range and fight between that and the trend. Over the next couple of days, we could move into a small little wedge in here between the trend. Say the next candle could move between the trend and the hold, and then that could become a bit of a fight and we could pump up to do a retest. But yeah, it's definitely at that critical point where it's either going to lose this area and then we get to see a big pump in the alts, or it's going to fight its way back up that trend in the next day or two and then head up. So totals, so we're shifting trend to the upside today, so it's moving from here, it's heading up to here. So we've got a pretty decent wick on the top of that, so we should reject and come down. And if we look at that from the other perspective, the weekly has pushed through the trend. It's gone up to hit the hold level. It really should be pulling back, but things are looking pretty strong. If we look at it from the other daily perspective, we're pushing up through the trend. We've got a range trend retest up here at like 3.76. We've already hit this origin level running through here at 3.71. It's really just pushing, but this thing should be coming back down to this level at 3.58. What's going to happen though is that if it closes above this trend, then it does actually have some support. It can use the back of that trend to bounce again. So really it's that next 35 minutes makes or breaks this. Hopefully I can get this update out in time. All right, over to BTC. BTC is moving trends to the top side. It's very bullish though because there's almost no wick on the top of this, so it could just open on that trend and then continue up. And that would definitely allow us to hit those 1.16, 1.7 areas. Really the first untested one-day level is all the way up here at 120, so you might be about to see a sweep before a move down. We are hard closing today these lower levels down here in the 112s, so also a retest to come down is possible, but we kind of need to see a pullback in the next 35 minutes, otherwise this thing is going to open on the top side of trend and then it's got a pretty good chance of just bouncing and continuing. 2-day close. 2 days creating a range trend today, but once again, if it closes in this 115 area, it's able to just open on the top side of that trend and continue up. It's pushed right up into this hold level and hasn't rejected back to trend. So again, that's really out of character, very bullish, but it's hard to trust these kind of pumps. They've come from the wrong side of all of the resistances and they've just gone up. You would have expected this to have pulled back by now. It hasn't, so maybe it wants higher. Yeah, we might be about to see a bit of a takeoff there. And over to SOL. Okay, so SOL on the 1 day, it's moving its trend to the top side. This has enough of a wick off it to reject and come back down, but really only has to come back down. Like if it wanted to find minimum horizontal support for this is around that 217, 219 sort of area. That lines up with that 2-day short going to target, maybe after candle close for the day. Could come back down. So oddly not as bullish as BTC. BTC really does look like it's trying to gain some strength back. SOL is in a better position to have a short-term rejection. Okay, and then we've got the 2-day. 2-day is shifting the trend again to the top side. This whole thing is basically a move from the range trend down below to the top here, and once this closes, it will probably open just under that trend unless it really pushes up and gets rid of that wick. So, but it is looking like we might still get the pullback on SOL. If it goes deeper, there are plenty of other levels it could go to, like 206, because this is the first candle that hard closes the origin level across here at 206. So we could bounce all the way down to there. We could come back to the trend. We could just stop at the range trend again. If it's really bullish, it's just going to stop at that range trend that's about that 217, 218 sort of area. But if it does start to flip a little bit bearish, if we get the weakness coming in based on the SOLBTC chart, then yeah, it could come down further deeper from there. And the main ones I think everyone should just keep an eye on at the moment is this 234 level on the monthly, because it's monthly resistance that we could run into on SOLBTC. It's monthly break level that we're getting very close to hitting, and we've got short-term liquidity that would allow us to go up and touch that. So although the monthly doesn't close for 19 days, just keep an eye on those levels. I think if we push up into those, we might actually see that pullback, and that could be bigger than the 2-day pullback, because once this monthly touches this monthly, it's a monthly issue rather than a 2-day issue. So right, I'm going to try and rush this thing up online and get it out to you. I won't cover off all the others just yet, but we're still aiming for SUI at 3.8. It's almost a bit of a canary in the coal mine because it's such a clean monthly move. So you can almost see what SUI does and relate that back to what SOL and BTC might end up doing. So 3.8 for that one. World Liberty Finance did bounce off its hold level, so that's kind of done. That trade did enter down here. It's retraced back to trend, but it looks like it might create a hold level to have another push down. So if you're in this trade, it's a good idea to TP this. And yeah, that's about it. Like, subscribe. Sorry I rushed through that one, but yeah, second recording, first video crashed. Yeah, we'll be back again. Cheers, bye.